Chair would entertain a motion to accept with a correction. Okay. Okay, I have a motion from John. Second, Dick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Have any signing of the orders? How are we proceeding? Proceed? Good. Okay. Questions from the floor? Anyone that is on the agenda or anything have a particular concern or question?
Might be a good time to bring up why Vi's here to take care of that matter.
Okay.
I think that's on.
All right, Vi's not on the agenda. Vi will be, as we all are aware, Vi will be digging the water line to Mrs. Midgood's house starting tomorrow, I believe. We have, it's here somewhere, a proposal that defines exactly the type of work that's going to be taking place, and it's from Byron to the town, and he's looking for a signature on that before he starts. We have nothing in writing with him right now, and it's all outlined here, and he feels that we should sign this before he starts taking the good idea. All look in order. Pardon me? All look in order too.
I think we have to change a couple items on there because that was the original quote, and we've since changed the piping from plastic to copper, so that has to be reflected.
Is that the original that you have? I think I left one with
Oh, did you? That's the original.
today.
This is
Okay, outlining it, it's a new proposal with a letter on the back detailing the changes and the effect it had on the...
You might want to give it 2 minutes. I have the old one here.
Yep. The copy gave
There's a
me
letter
is,
on the back that details the changes and what the total cost of the project is now.
the copy gave me today is in the general because he's getting a deposit for partial payment.
As part of the proposal, down at the bottom, required a 20% deposit to ensure the job.
Okay. We got a total cost of $16,494.
I'd move that we accept that.
That just reflects the cost of the copper pipe as opposed to the plastic.
Okay, I have a motion from John to accept that. Second. We have a second. We have any discussion?
When you can start,
Tomorrow morning.
tomorrow?
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Signature is for me. Joe, the way it looks here.
If you want, I can sign that one also, Rod.
Yeah, where would you like me to sign this?
Sign it there, and then...
Okay. All right. There you go. Would you like this?
I'll have copies made.
Any other questions from the floor? No? Moving on. Health officer, Barry Burke's not here. She's also the building inspector. Here, road commissioner, Marshall. Marshall's not here. Do we have any highway business?
I don't. it's not highway, it's surface.
Yeah. Anything pertaining to town roads in general.
Do with that.
Huh?
Do with that.
Pardon me?
Stuff I asked you about the other day.
I haven't got an answer yet. Are all the payments made to Wilt on the asphalt? What is the balance?
Well,
Or do we
there's a balance,
expire all that fund?
but there's a balance, but, there's a portion, we get that grant, 20,000, if we kick in 10,000, so he's left 30,000, to do before the plant shuts down. In other words, they're interested in farming that road. Haven't heard a thing. Marshall's gotta be the guy to.
Yeah.
See, there's a balance. I don't know if there's a specific place for him to pave or what, but it has to
You
do.
usually have to identify where you're gonna be using that money
Yeah,
before you get it.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can pave the town hall parking lot with it. I don't think that would qualify.
Yeah, Rod, I believe though, when they made out their budget, the pavement was higher, and then when we got the bids, they're a lot lower per tonnage. That's why probably the extra money's there.
No, usually what it is, we set a target amount to be spent for new asphalt every year.
Yeah, but remember when they came in here with bids, and it was something like $5 and something less per
Yeah.
ton?
All that usually ends up being is we pave more road.
Pave more roads.
Yeah. If it comes up high.
We pave our road.
We pave less road. That's always been the way it's been done as far as I can know.
We got a problem up there, where the pavement and the dirt meets, it's all washing away again. We fix it every year and it just keeps washing away. I mean, I got big ruts there. It's a mess up there.
I'm not sure if,
We're not asking the whole thing be done.
no, I know that,
All
but
in
I'm
one
not sure if we
shot.
can do any of it with this money. Should we choose to do that?
I mean, it'd be way too much for us to take out of our budget and do it.
Yeah, do you know anything at all about that? Without Marshall being here, I can't give you an answer.
Can we put it in for the next 3 years if we don't do it this year, like they were gonna do last year?
I mean, at budget time?
At budget time, a section,
Sure.
Well, that's what they were supposed to do last year.
Yeah,
Forgot about us, I guess, or something.
okay.
How much money would they pay?
Nobody's ever been up to
nobody,
look
Ask
at it.
Marshall to give me a
If you
price
get
on it, and
somebody up there to give you an idea of
well,
what.
I asked Marshall to do it, he's supposed to get back to me with a price, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
But Rod, are you telling them that they can budget that in recreation account, or it will be budgeted in highway? Because they want it budgeted out of highway, not recreation.
Yeah, I don't see how that relates to recreation because of town road.
Used for other
Okay.
things. Used for the recycling.
But in order to budget something, we've got to have some kind of cost estimates and come up with a figure. And somebody's got to give us that.
And Marshall's supposed to be doing that for us now, he said he would,
Okay.
he just hasn't gotten back to us.
Probably, I would think we could pave it two sections.
I mean, you hit that pavement, and you just drop,
Yeah, I know.
that's how bad it's.
Yeah, it washes through there. But I think, we could do it maybe in two sections rather than three. 'Cause it'd be a short pave for somebody to move in there with a paver or whatever. And that would drive the cost up. They won't be laying enough tonnage to make it worth moving, unless they were doing something else right there. And that isn't likely.
Okay. As long as we can plan something, in the future. We can do a 3-year plan, 4-year plan, 5-year plan, whatever.
You remind us for sure.
We did that.
Remind us
They're
again.
not gonna let you off the hook, Rod.
Okay.
But there's still a month left before the
Yeah.
plant closes.
Yeah, I think the plant closes the 1st of November.
Nah, they go to the 15th.
It closes by the first day of deer season.
It's gonna close quick.
That's what Pike guys always used to tell me at their plant. He usually stopped paving because when deer hunting started, nobody came to work anyway, so. Okay, we'll certainly deal with that. And if If I run into Marshall, I'll try to get an answer from him, if anything
Well, I just
can be
haven't
done
seen
this
him.
year.
He was up there working today. I asked him and he hasn't been, we've missed each other up there.
Okay. And Dick, if you run into him, find out how that grant money's supposed to be spent. It has to be targeted for a specific purpose. I think it does.
The way he told me, supposed to present the state with a bill, say here, and then they'd give him some money.
Yeah, but I think it has to be done on certain classifications of town highway where state aid money is being used, and this would not be one. This is a state aid road. Okay, any other highway business? How's that frontage road? What's the latest?
Well, Marshall's supposed to put up a sign. We accepted the deed. So it's all taken care of. Just to sign it. Because we came back. You said the board signed it.
So it's a sealed deal.
We'll have to check. Did we file with you yet? Well, maybe it hasn't come back. I have to check that.
I don't remember signing one. Anybody else?
What's that?
Well, signed
Unless
one
I
night.
wasn't here.
I think it went back to the state though for their signature, so it's coming back.
It's been in here.
The lawyers agreed to the form. Mark Sperry had them revise it. They
Okay.
agreed. The board signed it. And if I haven't given it to Dick, it must be with the state. It comes back. But they're expected to sign it. They had approved it the first time. We asked to change some things. They agreed. We signed it.
Excuse me.
I had already told Marshall to order the sign for the Farrell Road. I'm sorry, that was the Farrell Road.
Right.
This road, the planning commission, you asked to name, and they
Name.
haven't met yet to discuss it.
Okay.
You're going to see an official letter from Holiday, and what's happening there, you know that short section?
Yeah, guys selling hubcaps there.
And there's also 2 tractor trailers parked
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and here's what they're complaining about, and they're going, I said, I told them, put it in writing. People coming north, a tractor trailer blocks the Holiday Inn sign, and they're objecting.
Well, once it's a town road, they wouldn't park them on the town road, that's for sure. Right, Constable?
Correct.
Right, Constable?
Correct. It isn't a town road
It
yet.
isn't a town road yet, so. Actually, state highway.
I can see his point. It doesn't look good there anyway.
Oh,
No, it isn't appropriate.
Every time a tractor trailer breaks down, they leave it there. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for that. But once the deeds all come back and everything,
Probably post it. No parking
Marshall,
there
well,
anyway.
what Marshall's gonna have to do according to our ordinance is go down and put a no parking.
No parking.
Sign. Our ordinance requires that. At the end.
Okay. Anything else on the roads? Recreation?
New playground equipment showed up. And before we unloaded it, we looked at the billing. The billing was $600, $618 more than it was supposed to be. Called the company before we unloaded it, and they told me that from the time we ordered it until the time they shipped it, they went into 96 prices. I told them take it back. I knew this is still 95, you're not a car dealership. So I sent the equipment back. I dealing with another company out of New York, and they're going to confirm a price tomorrow. So that's where the playground equipment is right now. It's on its way back
That's
to New
for
Hampshire.
Dewey Field.
Pardon?
Yeah.
That's for Dewey Field, yes. I don't know where they just came up with a price, figuring that we'd just take the stuff, and it doesn't work that way.
You ordered 95
So we sent it back. Once we've taken it off the truck, it would have been ours. We would have had to pay for the shipping back. So, Halloween party is October 28th on a Saturday, and I've already talked to Brian, and I'm asking for John to be up there that night. There's gonna be a lot of traffic, a lot of kids, and everybody's invited again. And basically that's all I have.
Good party, so if anybody can make it, stop in for a little while.
You get a chance to see your $2 million in action.
Yeah, I get a chance to see the new gym, and the kids have a ball. He's doing a real good job.
You got anything else there?
Stuff I asked you about the other day, just check on that.
Not yet. I will. Planning Commission, Charlie, or somebody here for Charlie?
We have nothing
Not
at this
anything.
time.
Name the road, right? Name that road down there?
Yeah,
Regional Planning, David, is he here?
he was here, man.
He was here.
Thought I
Yeah, he
saw him.
stepped out.
Yeah, why don't you just check?
There he is.
Thanks, fellas.
Can I ask Clifford a question?
Sure.
Did you ever get in touch with Lee Adams?
Yes, it's also,
Okay.
we're up where we talked,
Okay.
we're up across that end there.
Good.
I don't think you'll touch it, but you might touch a corner of it. Be awful close.
He's on the phone, he'll be right in.
Okay.
Incidentally, let me put in,
Go ahead.
I think I called you on Rich Bengy coming
Yes.
up. The next door.
I was at that one.
Oh, yes.
A job on, or,
Yeah, how we doing with?
I think we've had some of them.
Yeah, I think that's it. Give me one of yours, Joe.
The first thing I
Keep it
had
moving here.
on my list was that we could take care of the package, the snowmobile request. It's
Yeah.
an annual, seems like it's an annual request from the Snowmobile Association.
Right.
For permission to go on across town roads.
We've done this for 20 years, as far as I know, or longer. Should have a motion. It's gotta be signed by me, I guess.
You gotta go on to something else.
Yeah, we are.
They are, I knew they would give it to them. Put in there. Standard annual.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve this request by the Proctor Snowmobile Club. And a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed.
Second item I had is on the North End Sewer Project. It's getting close to the time, hopefully, where we're gonna need to get somebody trained to go in. They tell me once a week to read meters and to throw some switches to listen for the pumps to kick on, basically, and to shut the switches back off. I do that if you want. Otherwise, we need to appoint someone so they can meet the cooling people at the proper time. Because at the last meeting, they asked who would be doing that. And I said, if no one else will do it, I do it. It's that simple. You don't need any technical training per se. If anything major is wrong, you get a plumber.
I can also drop that if you like. I could drop it.
Kip said he would also like to do that. I don't care.
Yeah, I
We
think
should have a
someone,
couple people.
someone should commit to doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So there's not a gap. I mean, then if someone can't get there, they call them back up. But I don't think it should be you doing it this week, I'll do it next. I think someone should be responsible to report.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Okay.
Well, actually, it came out of the Big Good Water matter. I was up at City Hall recently, last week actually, and the subcommittee did approve it. I think they're recommending tonight for approval. But at that meeting, we got to talking a bit about the lack of municipal water, myself and a few aldermen. And it probably is an appropriate time considering the fire districts and what has been discussed here before about maybe the town trying to negotiate or set up a framework with the city if there is going to be water rates for new users. So with your permission, what I'd like to do is put a letter in with the city to see if they'd like to meet. Just call it a general meeting for water issues. And I think the fire district people, they're very early on in their study, but clearly one of the options will be looking at some water. So the time would be right if you want to start that.
Okay, you and John be willing to meet if they desire? No? Okay. Give it a whirl.
You know, let us know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'll see what I can set up, let you know. The next two items I'll just tape together. One is Mr. Twitter's, which is owned by Joe and Becky Rizzi. And the other is the Home and Farm Center, which is owned by Dick and his wife. Both individuals aren't really happy with the rate that we've restored their properties to date. I've told them, and I think a lot of you know, the job still isn't done, so a lot of the final restoration work hasn't been done here. They're very upset over a bunch of things, and unless it's been resolved, Joe is looking for at least one more load of topsoil. And when I talked with Cooley on Friday or Thursday, they didn't feel he needed any more topsoil. They brought in more than what he had to begin with. He's at this point buried the manhole cover, so it's above the elevation it was. We'll have to uncover that to test it, and I told him that, he agreed. But so at this point, I don't want to authorize someone bringing in a load. In fact, he was prepared to Thursday hire someone to bring in a load of fill and bill it to the town of Rutland because he thinks we're responsible. And I think we've lived up to what we said we'd do. It's not final yet, but we brought in a lot of dirt. And at this point, he still wants one more load of dirt, and so I told him I'd bring it to the board. And he said if he doesn't get some kind of satisfaction, he'll be trying to talk to the Board of Abatement about getting a tax reduction because of loss of business. And that's similar to Mr. Honus's concern. He actually has a statistic of the loss of 34% during the construction months. He says he's determined, and he again isn't been satisfied with some of the restoration work. And he would be looking for some additional paving from the town, which again is beyond what we've committed to. That's why I wanted to bring it to you tonight. I don't think he's looking for a lot of paving, but he is looking for some additional. There's some pock marks where they set equipment. They patch some. If you go up there, you'll see where they patched two areas. There's a bunch of little holes, and like that all tied in with some fresh paving. And again, he also would be looking for some sort of tax abatement.
So the construction company isn't liable for that. I saw homes that pavement doesn't look good.
Well, we have an easement that's thick, and we said we would restore the property and everything. And I don't think if they're done yet, they may still be going back.
Yeah.
But in any event, if they feel they've completed it, he's looking for more. Again, I just be looking for some direction and can authorize some additional paving.
Joe had me down there one day. He couldn't get any topsoil at all the time. He did everything up above him. Had gone right by him. It really wasn't right. He was first. That they dug, he should have been first. So I went down and talked with him, and he got it there the next day. But I guess what's that? Yeah.
They brought in 4 or 5 loads, actually, I think.
Well,
first
yeah,
one
at
was
the
full of
time he had
rocks.
that in,
And he has done the labor himself. Joe
yeah, he
has
did.
spread it.
Yes, a lot of it.
The Cooley people didn't do that. He has done a lot of it. But they feel he's received more than he was entitled to. And as far as they're concerned, they're not bringing in more. He's still looking for at least one more load.
Did he show you where he needed it, Joe?
No. Somewhere.
If you know, quite a bit of digging was done there and it was right in front of his business, I would say that one load will finish the job. I don't know if I'd have any objections to it. How you guys do it? Yeah, I'm pretty far out there. What do you think?
I think we should find out how many loads have been hauled in there already.
I think they gave us a number 4.
Was it all dumped in the area of the construction?
Yeah.
It was, okay.
Well, the first load was a lot of rocks, so there's no question about that. But subsequent loads, I think, were better.
Whatever. I wouldn't have any objections to it. I think if one load would complete that whole corner, you know, they're all done there, right, Joe?
It should be.
Fence is back up.
Huh? Yeah, I think, yeah, they're done there. I don't know what he needs.
What's the consensus here? Give him a load down? Yep. Okay.
I don't know, I guess I'd like to hear more about the way it was before and what exactly they're saying has not been done, and is the company gonna go back? Because I know the way they've been doing it in piecemeal, they were working in front of Paul's Cleaners now, and then they stopped. Now Saturday they were back up there putting the sidewalk in. I mean, do we know that they are completed and they don't intend to do any more there? Or?
They don't, they have to go back and put grass seed and stuff like that in. That hasn't been done, but they feel they've brought in enough dirt to restore what was originally there. The grade is now higher than before because he's gotten so much fill. So if we had to restore what we did, the coolie's telling me we've done that. There's now more dirt. He wants to bring it out further.
Yeah, but I understand, Joe, that the height is higher because they had dumped him in excess fill that they had and gave him more fill than they had taken out of there, and that's what brought that up, but I'm not so sure that's the case in the topsoil.
I think he's gotten a lot of fill from what I was told.
Yeah, fill, right, absolutely, he did. He
We're
got
in the
more
public
fill
right
than-
of way here too.
Huh?
We're not on private property. We're in the public right of way to begin with on this project. We've given them a half-price connection to the sewer line. We brought in at least 4 loads of fill. I don't know what that cost. We cut a tree down for almost $1,000, rubbed it, took it away. We've done a lot. Every time we do something, I think if you say one more, I think it should be firm, one more.
That's what I just said to you, if one load could clean that corner up
Well,
for good.
the coolie people say that he's already got all he needs.
Yeah, because they paid for what he had up to now, right?
I don't think they paid. I think
Is that over and above?
Came from another part of the project, they just moved it there.
if you wanted to stop by and look, you could. Basically, it was flat. Now it's a little higher. He wants it a little bit higher.
But if he's covering up the cover to the sewer system, that's not right either.
We'll have to put a marker on it, Kip, in the future. We're going to have to uncover it to test it. I did tell him that.
Peter, you could help us out on that, couldn't you?
I came in at the tail end of the conversation, and I heard the,
It's just some restoration work we're
Yeah.
talking about, Peter, whether the property owner is satisfied or not, basically.
But wasn't the manholes put in a grade level or above?
they were designed at that level, yeah.
And he's already got fill over top of them already?
Where on the line is this?
Mr. Twitter's on the corner.
That's where we did the jack and bore, the receiving side.
Oh. On the east side?
No, west.
No,
west
west
side.
side, right on the corner.
We took down the
The
purple.
northwest corner of McKinley Avenue. He's got all the novelties and flowers.
Okay, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the purple fence. No, really.
And the land's been filled quite a bit more than it was originally?
Well, when the time I was there, he hadn't had the dirt yet, so I can't vouch for that. Joe saw
I've been
that.
told there's been at least 4 loads or more brought in there.
He's over the manhole.
Cover the manhole? Well, I mean, the reason we put manholes to grade is to make it easier to get access to them if you have to. That's on the tail end of the line, so the likelihood is low that you have to, but if you have to, you have to dig it up. That's the bad thing about covering them. Although there certainly are a lot of manholes covered or paved. They would be planning on extending it if he got extra fill, and that's what that was.
We planned on being where it was.
Yeah.
Well, what's your pleasure, putting on the...
Well, like I said, I have no objections to giving it to him, but after hearing this conversation, maybe somebody ought to go look and take a look and see exactly where he wants to put the extra load. I still feel that, you know, we did a lot of construction in front of him there, and if a load of topsoil is gonna make a man happy, I have no problems with it. But maybe somebody ought to take a look, see where it's going.
And how about Mr. Honus at the Holman Farm?
Yeah.
I think he should be looked at too. That doesn't look good, that job. I noticed it and it had never been mentioned. I think something should be done there too.
Will you look at that over there?
Yeah.
Joe, go with you?
Huh? He knows where it is.
Can't you on it?
That's all I had, Mike.
Okay. David, everything okay?
There was an accident, my parents were involved, but they didn't get hurt too bad.
Oh, no.
Charlene Wood took them one-on-one to Burlington today. They got in an accident, Lester, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Charlene's still in X-ray up there.
Hope everything's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they're hurt too bad. I did have a letter to give you on
the, from Agency of Transportation, they finally put it in writing that the 502 hearing will be held at a subsequent process to the EIS process. So I'll give Joe a copy of this, and it's important because that's when it starts our window to have a vote on the bypasses when they have that hearing. So I mean, the EIS is just a more of a planning phase, and there'll be a design phase to follow. I'll give that to Joe. Oh, and the other thing, Rod, is a mailing going out on the bypass. It's a week from Wednesday, the meeting. Like that.
It's ready to go out there.
It's set to go?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just gotta put the labels on it.
Yeah.
Tim Perry's not here. Dick Del Bianco? Yeah, Joseph.
Gee, for some reason, I got 6 items, so I'm not sure. Tonight, the bills you're gonna sign amount to about $314,000, and we got about $147,000 in our checkbook. Easy math will show that we're signing $66,000 in a hole.
Sounds like a state.
I can sit on about $122,000 in the city on sewer and water that we owe the city till November 20th. I really don't like.
How much you want to borrow, Dick?
I don't know. It all depends what happens with our delinquency. Dick is funneling money every day, but I don't know if there's enough to.
Simon run all check.
Yeah, no. But he's been in contact.
When is the city's due, Dick? Is that due on the 20th?
Well, it's due October 20th, but then it becomes delinquent another month. So I'm into that. I'm going to be into that other month. The ad valorem, we owe them $135,000 ad valorem, and that's a little bit overdue. But I think we can get a few extra days out of that. So I don't see the next few days what the heck happens here, and maybe go up to bid for X amount of money and get you guys to sign it quickly.
Okay.
The second thing, you know, there's an auditor vacancy, and we put an ad in the paper, and darn it, with all the things that happened last meeting, 2 people answered, and I'd like to just give you, take a quick look at their response, and I'll tell you what has materialized out of it. I'll take a quick what you see there is a letter from a former auditor who was deeply involved, and he's had 6 years and would like to get back in it. Plus, a new gentleman that moved into town that wants to take part in town activity. I came right out and said that I had goofed on the time limit here, and we got to start the school audit. And I more or less told him that I'd like to waive the interviews, because if you go by the expertise they got, Joe Sure Thing is the man to get back, and he's anxious to get back. Plus, we're going to lose Joyce in March. He does not want to run again. So I called Carl, and man to man, I said, you know, went through the interview stage, I just can't see the selectmen at this point. And he understood that and said, waive it and he'll take a crack at maybe some other job, or put his name in for the March election for that vacancy.
Okay.
So I'd like to get your approval to formally accept Joe back in the fold here and get this school audit going, because I'm going to be laid up for a few weeks in November.
Judge, you got this on the 26th or 27th of September. What's the date of it?
16th.
I was waiting for the October 2nd meeting, John, and I just passed over it, so I kind of goofed there, but so we're behind the 8 ball. But the way the situation worked out, Joe more or less had a big part in setting up the workbook that the auditors follow, and Jesus, they got it down pat. And plus, he just got transferred in his job into the auditing department of Central Vermont. So we're lucky to get him. So I'd like to get your permission to put him back in.
Carlo was happy with it?
I beg your pardon?
Carlo was happy with it?
Yeah, I talked to him.
You'd have to have a formal motion to appoint Joe.
I don't think that this should be done with positions. I mean, I think that they should come before the board and the board should have an interview process. I mean, that's what we do in all other openings, and I think we should continue with the same precedents that we have set.
Even though with the arrangement that was well received by the other gentleman.
Well, I don't think he had much choice in the matter if he was...
But he understood what I was coming from, where I was coming from. If you want to do that, you can, and then I ask you the question, when would you want to do that? At a special meeting of the board?
Do we have any other meetings this week?
That was one of the next items. You've got another fire district tomorrow night.
It's not one. It's not
Is that the
one,
one
no.
with just the one person or the full board?
No.
The one tomorrow night.
The full board tomorrow.
Tomorrow night's the full board. 7:30.
And which district is this?
Right?
Sips.
Where's
We
that?
vote on
Oh,
SIPs.
that's the one we have to redo.
Yeah.
You vote on that.
Well, maybe I put you in a little predicament that I didn't realize that.
Well, we can have a meeting just to do this. It won't take very long.
Are we meeting next Monday? Is that 23rd then? Change it on.
What's Monday night?
Next Monday night? We're still-
Wait, what is
Another
that?
fire district.
Yeah.
Yeah, every Monday.
23rd and 24th. I didn't really,
Next Monday night.
if you allow 20 minutes for each.
I won't take that.
All right, want me to set up interviews?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can form them.
When's that?
We can wait 7 days before.
The meeting on the 23rd is just one selectman
Yeah,
that
so it
needs
should
to
make
be
it
here,
24.
right? That's
Uh,
the election of officers
Well,
for
it doesn't
number
have to be one, it
7.
can be all of us. But we
Yeah,
have to have
but
at least one.
why force everybody to come if it's
Yeah,
not needed?
one select one
Yeah.
for election of officers, but to form, you need 3 out of 5.
So that's the one we should have this meeting on, is one where we need the 3 out of 5.
Right.
Yep.
Which one is
All right,
that?
well, let me, I'll double check.
Okay, ignore it, yeah, let us know.
Whatever one that is, that'll be it. And we could start that meeting a few minutes early.
Fire district?
Yeah, they're both right, the 23rd and 24th. All right, let me check that. Okay, and actually was tomorrow night, like to see 3 out of 5.
Okay, I will not make that meeting
You
tomorrow.
will
night.
not.
I
Neither
not.
will I.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
John?
I'll be here.
Clifford?
Nothing happens, I'll be here.
John? Oh.
I won't know until 4:30.
Can you be available on the phone?
I can be available on the phone.
You could always vote via the phone, and that's what you have to do it that way.
What time is the meeting?
7:30.
You can get a quorum that way if you have to.
I'm supposed to be in Newport, so if I can get out till 4:30, I can stop on the road and call, that's not a problem.
The planning commission's got it for quorum, I mean, it's legitimate, we check.
You would call us?
You're gonna have to arrange to have him call when you need to vote. Just vote to take him, repeat the motion to him, then you can vote.
Be done.
I could be here, I don't control my day tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm gonna be here.
Do you have a cellular phone?
Which we can do, it's already scheduled, but wait and see.
Yeah, this is that time.
No, I can definitely make phone contact, I can guarantee that. I'd like to be here in person if I can, and I'll make every effort to do that.
Even, all right, let's say, John, you call in a certain time, even if they're not at that point, we'll get your vote. Huh?
Vote before the question.
It's gotta be right.
Now it really sounds like a mistake.
That's what you gotta coordinate. You need to work out with you.
That's not a problem. I can
See if I can go, see if it let me go by phone,
Not ready
yeah.
for me, you want me to call back, I'll call back. Not ready for me then, I'll even call back at 35.
Yeah, okay, and I'll bring a phone downstairs.
Go to Florida and I can vote from Florida.
That'd be interesting.
Bring the speaker.
I could actually do that as well. I mean, I'll be in the area, I just won't be able to be here.
All
Oh,
right.
good, you call in then.
Yeah, it's easier for you to call.
I don't have a cell phone though. I'll have to be near a phone, that's all. It's near a phone. Just
Okay.
call, you can call me, I'll leave you the number,
Okay,
and you call me when the vote is needed.
okay, that might be easy.
That's better.
Okay, good.
It'll work.
Okay, next thing, North End Sewer Project. I gotta have Rod sign 3 different documents. Cooley Construction will be here maybe before we even open the office to collect his money. But in any event, there will be. There's 3 copies.
Yeah,
This is the reimbursement for us.
What's the status on this pool construction?
Where are we, big guy?
Huh?
This is, I think, the second to the last, right?
I
I think it's the second to the last.
Is there another one after this?
I believe so, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I talked to Ken today, he's hoping to be done at the end of the month.
Looks like an awful lot of work there, boy.
The rest area is no more.
See, one car was blocked up, wouldn't hold water there, so
Yeah.
Saturday.
Sure, I could just hammer away. Okay. Every one with a red check.
I'm not gonna stop there, but 5. Okay, okay, fuel oil bids. Okay, I don't know how we exist with the compact. We took advantage of their low bid. But
I mean, it's all over with.
It doesn't sound like it's viable anymore, because
Well, we don't know. We haven't participated, so I
Before you
don't
get
know.
into that,
They
Dick,
have no
remember you
idea.
had a request last year from a oil bidder that said that we didn't do something right or something.
No, we trade that.
Compare that.
Yeah. So the only thing that we can do is go out like we have in the future. In fact, the school tanks are bigger, so there's a bigger amount there. So, that's what you want to do. We should get this bid ready and go in the paper Thursday and get back, we'll open the field bids, last day of October. It won't be a selectmen's meeting, but we'll know who to contact.
Okay,
That okay, Lee?
that'll be fine.
And the last thing, it appears I'm going to have to add, we're further in debt, $6,000 bill. Our expert witness for
Yeah.
our court, apparently, I've never seen an invoice, but he called Mark today looking for his money, so I told Mark, fax it down tonight and we'll add it to the order. So that's Mr. Tinsley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think I'm all set.
Okay, these are signed here. Anybody have anything for Dick? No? Moving on to new business. Board to discuss traffic concerns with London Constable. Ted Pratt's here. You're welcome to come up front, Ted.
Yes.
The town of Mendon selectmen are very concerned about the intersection of Town Line Road and Route 4. There have been numerous deaths, and we still haven't compiled all the figures yet for property damage because of that intersection. And I asked the selectmen last week if they would, contact the highway department and let's see what we can do about getting some turning lanes in there. If they have to widen it, alternating flashing lights for the signs that say dangerous intersection. So they pretty much left it up to me to draft, what I felt would be a decent letter. Why I'm here is as I'm asking for your verbal support at this point. Once we get the letter drafted, we'll send it over to you people. You can make some changes, because we'd like to see your signature on it also, because we're both involved in this. We've got a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit up there. I've done many surveys. The average speed up through there is about 56, 57 miles an hour. It's a busy intersection, not just because of the Hog Penny, Burnham Hollow, and the shops at Mendon West. It's busy because of the things outside. They do such a good job decorating and with displays and all the areas that there's a lot to see when you're coming down the mountain or coming up. So people, in some instances, are not paying attention to what they're doing. I figured with some flashing lights that would at least catch their eye. I know that after the Southworth boy was injured up there, the state put up the logo for pedestrians crossing. It's about 15 feet, 12 feet in the air. And by the time you see the sign, if you're going to hit anybody, you would already hit them because it's right there at the intersection. We need to move that stuff back away from the intersection. So that's where we're at. We really haven't drafted anything yet. I'm just asking, do you agree with this? We don't think that we're going to be able to get the speed limit lowered. It took 8 years to get it from 50 to 45. I fought for 7 years when I was on the school board, and it still took 1 year after that. We're very concerned, and at least we're asking for the flashing lights, and I believe that there's enough asphalt there so they could just realign that to make coming down and going up, at least get some turning lanes in there. So I don't know what you're
talking about flashing lights similar to what a school light would be next to the road. I don't think they'll put overhead.
No, we're not asking for overhead. I'm asking for on either side of the signs that say caution, turning traffic ahead. We may be asking for something different on the sign possibly too.
Yeah.
Is that what's causing most of your accidents, vehicles
It's
turning, it's not
because of
vehicles coming
vehicles
off Town
turning.
Line Road?
It's because of vehicles turning. Am I correct?
Majority of them seem to be that. I think it was last year that we had some residents, something up in that area. And a letter was written by this board to the state.
Lower the speed limit, but they turned us down.
Rejected.
They rejected it. But they took a survey and didn't feel it was warranted.
Well, this has happened many times, and so we're looking at a different approach, you know.
Maybe if both towns and plus my department get behind this, with the state highway department to do something.
I think,
Oh, no problem. If there's anything to create safety.
I think we all realize there's a problem there. And,
You know, we'll draft the letter and then fax it over and let you guys have ample time to look at it and make any changes. Maybe you have some better ideas, and then we'll get it all written and, you know, ask you to sign it so that we all go into this together. So I think that's what we've got to do. I'm sure the state will have to spend, you know, $300,000 to do this survey. You know, that's the way they are. But
they've done a lot of surveys. I'll be able to pull an old one out and look at it.
I would think so. And we'll, you know, with the help of Lieutenant Stanton, we're going to give them some statistics. And hopefully maybe this will, you know, what we're asking for is not much, money-wise.
Yeah, no.
But the traffic count through there is ungodly year-round.
I don't know who did their traffic surveys. We didn't help them with that.
They had some, somebody told me, I didn't see it myself, but I heard there was some motor vehicle cars there. That's what someone told me.
We don't either, but they did do a survey.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody told me there's some motor vehicle inspector cars that Shreveport did.
We wouldn't get help from a local representative.
But they turned us down anyway.
Ira Pike, you know, is a selectman. He'll be also as a representative for the town of Manning doing what he can do. So.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Send it over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll give you the stats.
Got a letter here from the regional ambulance, second new business item. And they're asking for some information to be submitted very quickly. And want a municipal plan, system map, and a number of other things they'd like submitted so they can get us involved in the planning process. I understood nothing was going to happen until some funding came forward from Montpelier, which to my knowledge hasn't been done yet, at least not to the degree where the whole state can have the money. I don't know whether this is...
I think to be included in any of that grant money, though, this stuff has to be submitted now.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you don't, you lose your chances of getting any money later on.
Okay. I asked Joe if he could put this together. He said if they tell him what they want, he can get it for them.
Do what I have to.
I mean, we have a lot of maps here. We have town plan here. We have, you know...
I'll take a look at that list.
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
Well, Bill Finger sent this letter, or Jim Finger, rather. And Joe gets a hold of him. We could probably give him what he needs.
Yeah, I think they don't need anything terribly detailed right now.
It doesn't look
At some point, it's going to get very involved.
Well,
obviously.
it also says you should appoint a committee to work on this project. I don't know what that involves, but...
Tim is your representative, Tim Perry, at this point.
Maybe we should talk to Tim about if he's been to any of the meetings and what else it involves.
He's been receiving mailings from time to time. But I'm not sure if he knows exactly where they're going with this at this point in time.
Well, the thing that, I think we really need to make sure that we stay on top of this. As somebody who does this for their living, this stuff is extremely important for our town residents, that we get this 911 system in place, the E911. We answer all the calls for the county right now, and the number of calls that we get from the town for ambulance and Rutland Town Fire Department and the state police, it's extremely important that we stay on top of this and make sure we know where this is going.
And we can have this probably by the end of the week, certainly.
I'll take a look at it. I'll give Tim a call tomorrow and
Why don't you touch base with Timmy and then get with these people and see what kind of assistance they have available, maybe if you want to and work on it. Pull it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you want to take a look at this, make
Sure.
sure? I know you probably know more about it than anybody here. Okay. I got one more thing here before we get to the zoning, and it was...
I got a, I don't know if this is too right. Go ahead, I'll wait.
No, go ahead, because it's Rich.
Okay.
Yeah, he's last.
They're going to be a few minutes, but go ahead.
When we were at pre-town meeting, we had received a request, and I believe we all indicated that we would pursue seeking bids for doing the cost of a reappraisal, and I think enough time has gone by that that's probably something that we ought to follow through on. We had told the people we would put out bids to see what a reappraisal would cost, and I, for one, would like to know those figures. I think enough time has gone by. We haven't followed up on it. I know Gene asked us to keep that in mind when he resigned, so I'd like to make a motion that we develop a bid proposal for a reappraisal and include in that request for a bid proposal a reappraisal that would also address personal property, inventory, and equipment.
Okay. Yeah, I had it entered my mind the last few weeks with being involved with the zoning. I don't know how many fire districts.
5.
Tax appeals, and a number of other things. You know, just hoping that we get a break here in the next few weeks so we can get that done. But now that you brought it up, but you know, we can get it started, and at least have an answer to the question that was posed. I wasn't at that meeting, but someone was interested in finding out what one of those would cost. So I think we designed exactly what needs, what we would be looking for here, and then see what the numbers look like. Is that a motion?
It was a motion.
Okay. Have a second to that?
A second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, Rich and Peter.
Steve?
And Steve.
He must be here.
These folks called after the agenda was set, but it has to do with the fire districts and the water situation, I believe. And we've seen how we're still forming fire districts and allowing them to form their own little governments of prudential committees or whatever. I thought we'd better talk to these gentlemen tonight, so it's all yours.
Well, I might just start. I appreciate you allowing us some time here. I think Steve, as the town's rep, might be able to give a little history, basically, of what's happened since October 2nd, because we did have a good turnout here on October 2nd that involved many members from many of the fire districts and some of the other water systems that are affected on the eastern side of town, on the eastern side of Route 7. At that meeting, a lot of items were discussed, and there seemed to be a change in the direction of the state. They were wanting to, as you recall, they were wanting to get more water systems included in the study. And so as a result of that, we put together another scope, and this time we sent it up to the state for their review. And at this point, we are awaiting their formal notification. And I think Steve has been very active behind the lines, and we may be back to the original scope that we submitted. So I think maybe, Steve, you want to go over some of the details.
Sure. I guess the first thing I want to point out is there's a copy of, the first thing that went around is a copy of a letter from Lyndon Witherall. Lyndon Witherall is the attorney who represents the Sunshine Water Company. And that letter is a little bit separate from what Rich was speaking about, although it's related to the October 2nd meeting. It's a proposal by Mickey McLaughlin to sell his systems or to get out of the water business. The state had some apprehension as you might recall, about being as active as they were being asked to be when there was no assurance or no proposal on the table that Mickey would, in fact, sell the systems once all this work was done. This doesn't obligate the neighborhoods to do anything. This is simply a one-sided promise by Sunshine Water Company that they want to sell their water systems and they have no interest in being in the water business any longer. And that's an assurance that the state really needed to have. And we spent about 3 hours on Columbus Day trying to get it from Mickey, but we finally got it. That leads to sort of the second thing that came around. It's a little rough today. This is a proposal, sort of a compromise proposal from Wibbs McLean, who is the Deputy Secretary of the Agency of Natural Resources. I called Wibbs after the October 2nd meeting, really out of sort of a sense of frustration because the concept of an expanded scope and the discussion that was occurring from the state was not the same discussion that I had had with them back in February. It was not the same discussion that I had with you based on what they had told me in February. It was different from what the neighborhoods were told when they held up their end of the bargain and with a great deal of work formed fire districts. The original proposal, as you may recall, was that the neighborhoods would join the town and through the town apply for planning advance money. They would be treated as if they were fire districts, each separate and distinct. That was the premise by which each neighborhood made the decision to form a fire district. It was made clear to them that they could have an engineering study done, that it wouldn't cost them anything unless they started construction. That all became sort of hazy in the discussion of expanding the water study beyond the Sunshine Water Company neighborhoods. And it sort of concerned me because that wasn't the deal, and we needed to sort of adhere to that. That's not to say that there aren't neighborhoods throughout the town that have some very serious water problems. The problem we have is that Mickey McLaughlin's neighborhoods are under the jurisdiction of the Public Service Department, Public Service Board, and therefore we have a rate case sort of hanging over these neighborhoods' heads, which is sort of driving the process. So it makes it sort of a priority. Anyway, I asked Wibbs to discuss this issue with the commissioner and with the department, the Division of Water Supply, and sort of fix it. And I think she came up with a really fair and reasonable solution. And that is to go back to the original premise that the Southern Water Project, although part of the same planning advance, would be treated separately from the 5 neighborhoods. That each of the 5 neighborhoods would have a planning advance that was distinct to their needs, that they would get an engineering study based on their system and solutions particular to their neighborhood, would not have to pay that back until or if they started construction. And that's separate from the Southern Water Project. If you start the Southern Water Project, it's not going to trigger repayment by any of the fire districts. The only sort of compromise point, and I think it's a legitimate one, the state is very interested in having the town, or someone at least, take a look at these other neighborhoods. I mean, Gleason Road's a big problem. Grandview Terrace is a problem, and I think Dave Lewis expressed that he's got some problems as well. And so what they want to do is have the town ask for additional funds. She mentioned $2,000 to do a survey, which can be both an infrastructure and also just sort of informational survey of the remaining neighborhoods that are not affiliated with the Sunshine Water Company. I think this is a great proposal. It gets us back to where we want it to be. It keeps all the neighborhoods sort of orderly and calm. It's the best way in which we are going to solve this problem. That seems to me to be the sort of imperative right now, to keep it as smooth and simple as we possibly can, given the complexity of the issue and the number of people that we have to try to reach and explain the issue to. So anyway, that's sort of the compromise that we worked out with her. and I'm just bringing it to you because what it requires is a sort of modified, just a slightly modified scope in the same form as we originally presented it, rather than the expanded study that they spoke about.
Everybody understand what he just said?
Okay, I got one question. I didn't see any figures on what they're thinking about for the southern project. Did you give any figures on what would be available for that?
I think it's a $70,000 planning advance, so it's $30,000.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, that was the original deal, and I said to him, look, it may not be the best way to do this. Maybe it would be better to have a regional study, but it's not going to happen. The neighborhoods really want to get their own problem solved right now, and that really is that problem is sort of in crisis mode in some instances, and so we got to get this Sunshine Water Company thing done before we take a look at any other neighborhood, I think.
Well, Steve, isn't there one party that's unhappy? You want to do everything in the south or something?
Hitzel Terrace has expressed a desire to have their own engineer, to put out for bid their own engineer. I think that, I don't know if they've
Yeah, we got another letter on it.
reapproached the board with that issue or not, but that was an issue previously during a discussion.
One of the things that we had agreed to do earlier was to meet with these fire districts individually, and we met with Sunset. Because this issue of expanding the scope and everything came about, we decided to wait to let things shake out a little bit. I'm meeting with those folks on Wednesday to review their concerns and to make sure that we're going to be aware of the issues that they want to have studied, which I think, based on some of the input that I've received from one of the people up there, looks like the scope that we originally had did pretty much address their concerns. So hopefully things will go well and they will want to stay in the project. Again, that's this
So what does
Wednesday.
this do with the funds if they stay out?
If they stay out,
If they go on their own?
they would. If they went out on their own, what they would have to do is just sort of withdraw from this application, and they'd have to wait a whole another year to apply, or we'd have to convince the secretary of the agency to add them to the priority list. What we're finding in this process is, as you can tell from the daily press, the state government's resources are shrinking, and the bids, the amount of money that's going out, are going out for only the top priority projects. Rutland Town was able to sort of get added to the list for a variety of reasons. Some tense lobbying, and also, I think, because they've sort of had it with Sunshine Water Company. But I think Hitzel Terrace understands that. I haven't read their letter, so I don't know.
Well,
But
Marie wasn't here at the meeting that we had that we discussed that problem, and then subsequent to that, we got another letter from her saying that they still want their own.
oh, really? Okay.
You might mention what Tim had said about fire districts going out at this point in terms of whether they get money or not, because he knew they wouldn't.
That's a problem. The money is scarce, and we're getting it. We're lucky to be getting it. I don't know that. The only other thing that they could do is to wait a year, because I'm not sure that we'd be successful at getting them added to the list separately. The reason that we applied through the town, rather than forming the fire districts first and having each fire district submit an application for this planning advance, was A, because we need the answers right away in order to get some solution to to get the two sides at the negotiating table to sort of end the Public Service Board hearing. The second reason is because we knew that what was happening in Washington was happening, and what we didn't know what was going to happen in the state, but we had a clue that there wasn't going to be an awful lot of money there in the next fiscal year. So we're trying to get it done now while the resources are there, and while we still have sort of pressure to get negotiations between the Sunshine Water Company and the neighbors going.
It's possible after the Wednesday meeting to be a moot point, it may not be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the other thing that hasn't been explained yet is that this memo that you see here has to trickle down through to the people that are reviewing the contract and the planning advance application, and so that may take a little while for that to happen. But it does look like we're back to where we started from, which is the original scope and planning advance application with a very minor modification.
And I'll tell you, this is from Wibbs. It was faxed to me at 5 o'clock, and she CC'd it to Tim Raymond, Jay Rutherford, and Bill Briley, who's the commissioner. So sometimes what happens is the secretary's office knows one thing, and the rest of the agency does not have any information from that end, but they're going to get it. At least it appears that way.
Everybody understand what's going on? Everybody satisfied with what's going on? Yes, so.
Thank you.
Fine.
Yeah, let's take 5 minutes and have a break. And under old business, and it's been old for a long time, I guess, the only been talked about for a lot of years, is the zoning issue. And we've got 2 documents, one submitted by the Planning Commission, and the second, the revised document submitted by an ad hoc committee of 2 selectmen and several town residents, and we have to make a decision tonight if we're going to pursue, or if we're going to proceed with either one or none at all. And the chair's willing, comments, discussion, whatever. Whatever your pleasure is. It's a board decision tonight. We had a public hearing last week, and it wasn't attended by as many people as I hoped to be there, but I think we had 2 hours and 15 minutes discussion about both documents, and I believe tonight is the deadline for making a decision. So what's your pleasure?
Well, I'll start this since nobody else seems to. I have to say that I fully understand the Planning Commission's position on this. Having served on the Recreation Commission, I myself would take it as a slap in the face if I had done all of this work on a document or on a study to do with recreation and then was told it wasn't being accepted or it was sent to somebody else. My feeling is that we should work with, the selectmen should work directly with the Planning Commission on the document that they submitted, and myself, there was only a couple of things that were brought up at the meeting that I had some question on, but I think if we're going to do zoning, we should do it right the first time. And I understand John's position on saying that, you know, you don't want to go too restrictive, that you can fix things later on. However, in the process of trying to fix some of those things, I think some people could be left with an awful mess that there won't be any fix to if there isn't the proper zoning in place to start. And you're not going to be able to change those things later on.
Well, I guess what I have to say is what I've said right along. Nobody thinks more of the Planning Commission than me, and I said at the opening thing at the public hearing that they do a lot more than just have made up this zoning document. You know, they plan every week. They've been doing it for years. They do a good job. It's a hard job. That isn't the point right here at this time. I agree with you that nobody wants to turn anybody down. This has always been the hardest part of this job. 2 things, you get 5 people applying for a job and they're all good, and which one do you pick and who's the 4 you turn down? They're not easy. Nobody does it. The only way you can really do this and do it so that your conscience is clear is no matter how hard anybody worked or what anybody did, when you get all done, you analyze it and you do what you figure is best for the town and the townspeople. And then you also have to look at the region. I got nothing against what they did with this zoning document. It's a terrific document. I don't believe at this time it's tailored for Rutland Town. I can't quite agree with the fact that If you put it in now, there's no trouble later. I'm gonna tell you. You can look through the history of people with zoning, and there's variance hearings and fighting about this and trying to change that goes on every month of the year. That's when the trouble starts. As far as putting it all in once, I said it before and I'll say it again, it's government. You put it all in there at once and you're never going to get any of it back out, even if it did some harm to someone. It's too late. They've had it, so to say, because it's in there and you can't take it out. But if you put it in an open document, not completely open, but a document with some openings in there for a town like Rutland Town, which is as much urban as rural, which makes a difference when you plan on zoning. The problem is that if it's in there, you can't get it out, but if it isn't in there, you can hold a public hearing, just like we did last Monday, and you can put things in there. So if you see 2 or 3 things going on that begin to look like they're going to be a problem to Rutland Town, you hold a public hearing, and you add that to your zoning. But if you've got something in there and somebody in Rutland Town has been hurt bad, you can't get it out. They could tell you that, but I've been here many years and you can't get it out.
But the opposite's also true.
And I just don't want anybody to think that I'm doing this for any personalities. It's the hardest job in the world. I usually look everybody in the face and holler, but I can't look anybody in the face and holler, I'll tell you right now. And that's a fact, because it's not an easy job. My conscience tells me what I think at this time Rutland Town should be doing, and that's the, that's the only way I can do it. I'm certainly not doing anything here to harm anybody, and I want that understood. I never would.
Anybody else? Does everybody have the document in front of them?
I didn't bring mine, I'm sorry. I
Get
didn't
some
bring
documents, the planning commission and both of them.
We might be a little low on the 95, but we've got plenty of 94.
Is that 95?
Yeah.
Which one do you got, John?
I've got both of them, but I mean, we're gonna need, I think we should do a line by line.
I took your last box. This box on this one. There was some other good.
I thought we did the line by line item in the public hearing. This isn't a public hearing tonight.
Well, it's our discussion, isn't it?
Huh?
Is it our discussion?
To go line by line?
Well, there's a couple of line items I'd like to discuss.
Oh, a couple of them, okay. I thought you said line by line, every line. I don't think it's fair to me.
So everybody needs an ad hoc, there's one.
Is it? Oh, no, I've got, she had an extra 95. You got any 94?
There's plenty of 94.
Well, I can work off of the 94, that's,
Yeah.
I'm all set.
I don't have any,
Good. It's something to look and look at. That's the
Oh, okay. Which one are you using right now, John?
94.
Yeah, so you've got 94?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As I understand the process, we cannot change, we can only delete from the document that's presented for public hearing. And so I'm going to go through some of the areas, and I'll start with the 94 document that I have problems with, that I'd like to see deleted in the sense of following up on what Karen has talked about. If we look at section 706,
Page is that, John?
that is 38. I'm not sure the pages are entirely. It's a restoration of a non-conforming structure. It's my view that if the owner of a non-conforming structure wants to restore a non-conforming structure after it's been destroyed, as long as they don't expand the use, or if they're going to expand the use, they come under 704, that they ought to be allowed to. So I would like to make the suggestion that 706 be deleted. I don't like the 1 year limitation on 707, the discontinuance of a non-conforming use. I personally would like to see 3 years. I've heard 2 years talked about, but I would recommend or request that we delete section 706. And making these recommendations, I understand the Planning Commission can come back with amendments that will address my specific concerns or concerns that other members of the board have. turning over to section 1100. 1121 I think is unnecessary. I'd like to see that deleted. That has to
Page you
do,
on, John?
64. I'm going on the table. If you go down the index, that's what I'm working on now, but that indicates section 64.
What's the section you're talking about?
Site development, I think, ought to be deleted. I think that is overly restricted. Section 1124, the definition of open storage is too broad, and I think that for that reason, section 1124, open storage, has to be deleted. I don't think that we should be requiring our residents to get swimming pool permits. I'd like to see 1126 deleted. I think we have sufficient flood hazard district regulations in effect now. I think the town's regulations mirror the federal. So I'd like to see 1203, 1208, 1305 through 1309 deleted. And with those comments, I would move the adoption of the 94 plan.
$13.09.
1305 through 1309.
Okay, you've got a motion to adopt the 94 plan with deletions noted by John Paul. We have a second to that.
I'll second
Okay. Discussion. Discussion.
John, you said on the restoration period you want that eliminated completely, or are you willing to put in like 1, 2, 3 year limitation or something?
As I understand the situation wherein we cannot make changes, the only thing we can do is delete from the plan entirely. And if the planning commission feels strongly about the provision, they can come back with an amendment. We can't make changes now because in effect we're offering up something that has not had an opportunity to have public comment on. I don't know whether that, frankly, I don't know whether that understanding is correct, but it's what I'm led to believe as to where we are at this time.
Can we make changes tonight?
We can, there is a school of thought that says we can take provisions from the ad hoc version, since that was one for public comment. In other words, we could take provisions from both documents to come up with a final document. But I've talked to at least one of the persons involved in the ad hoc committee and tried to satisfy myself as to what the intent of the ad hoc approach was. I know a big bone of contention, and frankly one that I share, was that definition of open storage. That did give me some problems. I don't see the need.
And open storage is on what?
Well, it has primarily to do with the definition of open storage. I mean, you know, technically it could involve a wood pile or things of that nature. The definition is too broad, I think, and for that reason, I've said the 1203, not 1203, but the 1124 should come out.
Discussion?
Yeah, wouldn't it be better to turn them both down tonight and go back to the drawing board and come back with them corrected? We're gonna sit here and skip pages and it's a forever thing, and I think it requires more than skipping pages. I got nothing against zoning. I've said this is the first day, but I think the best thing to do, to be fair to everybody, to the ad hoc, to the, and I wasn't the guy talking to, was I, John? So I want that known. And the planning commission, if we vote both of these documents down, and I'm voting the one that I was a representative with the ad hoc committee on, and I will even do that, just to go back to the drawing board, drop something and come back. I think we'd be on the right track that way.
You know,
We're both kicking things around here. We've got things, well, there's a couple things I found out in the ad hoc that I'm not.
Right.
I wouldn't want them. See what I mean? And that's what's going on, and the big job has been done. I think resolutions can be made and come back. You'd have a public, whatever, they have to have two, and if anybody out there has some input to them, then they can come and maybe, there may be more people who would come out this time than the last time because the thing has been brought forward more, and everybody may be able to benefit. And you know, I've said from the first day, and they know it, the very first day this came about, I'm not against zoning. And now that we've got this, you know, I could say in the ad hoc's copy, there's things that I'm not happy with. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not happy with things there either. So the only thing I can see is probably doing it. You wouldn't be doing it over because the basics are all here, but reviewing again and then presenting again is I think would be the easiest way out for everybody. Going to save a big hullabaloo in town and everything else. We get, you know, this is a big thing. This is a forever thing. This isn't something that, you know, you trade your car in 2 years. You don't trade this in 2 years. And I just think another few months probably wouldn't hurt anybody. And so that everybody could be reasonably happy. And actually, everybody will never always be happy, but reasonably happy.
Well,
and that's just my feelings on it.
Yeah, I certainly understand where you're coming from. My view is that we're probably, I think we should be in a leadership position with regard to this. I think that most of the citizens of the town realize that Rutland Town, especially over the next, well, starting with the mall development, has become a big business, has become an intricate business, and would feel better with some sort of document that defines, so they can look at it and defines what the land use is and what the availability of building is in the town. I initially shared your skepticism at the what could be perceived to be over-regulation of the 94 document, but in the 2 or 3 hours that I put into researching it today, John, I don't want to have a document offered up that's going to constantly be challenged because of inconsistencies or lack of process being spelled out sufficiently. There's no question the 94 document goes into, I think, enough detail to withstand those kinds of challenges. That's just my view on it, that we probably ought to try and move forward with some sort of zoning document tonight.
We do have a real good, binding, strict town plan that, for an interim period, protects us fairly well. Somebody can't go put out a mechanic's garage in the middle of one of those residential developments today because of that. So that it isn't that we're leaving the town wide open. It's just a chance to resolve some differences that we're seeing. And not because, I'm not saying these are errors, I'm just saying the differences for tailoring to Rutland Town. I guess that's the term I'd like to use.
John, can you share with me a sense of, like, as to specifics, what causes you that concern? I mean, do you have...
Well, you know, I don't want to get into detail on it. I don't want to get into detail on it. There are things in there. Like I say, there's even a couple in our own. I think I've brought them up. I think you know those that I guess I wouldn't sit here and approve myself tonight. And I work with these people. I was appointed by the board to work with them. I worked with them, and I'd say no to it. And only for the fact that it isn't the end of the world, so to say. This can be just taken care of. Some of these, you know, what it would require is 2 more public hearings, is what my understanding is, so that these people can go on and you hold your 2 public hearings, you get more input, and maybe it'll be something they agree with, and maybe something they still don't. But that's their, you know, that's here or there. They may make people with differences understand different. But I just think there's no sense of rushing this thing tonight. You know, this thing is fallen into the 11th hour, so to say, and I think it's too big a step. It's about as giant step as you can take. You gotta understand that no matter how we look at it, and I know we need it, but you're taking people's rights away. And in this day and age, you see it every day of the week. You can't smoke in a restaurant. You can't smoke in a public building. Rights are just leaving us left and right. And even one more is a lot with so many rights that we've already lost. I know you're looking at smokers here. They can't smoke in here. They can't smoke in a restaurant. I mean, you know, where do you go from here? Pretty quick, you won't be able to smoke outdoors. So I think just one would be a lot, and I would feel better that way. And if we're done discussing, I'll call for the question, that's all.
Yep, anything to say?
I'll second that.
Because you don't have a motion.
Well,
We've got a motion on the
they've
floor.
got one, that's gotta be voted on
It's got to be
first.
voted on first, and then if that,
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
if it passes or if it fails, then we can go from there. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No. No.
And I'll vote no as well. I would like to state that I don't feel tonight's the appropriate time to be picking documents apart. If there's problems with documents or there's changes that need to be made, it's not tonight to be doing it. I'm rather surprised that we got this far. As far as deleting certain items from any document. What I would like to see are 2 members of the Planning Commission, 2 members of the Board of Selectmen put together, review the documents, and if there are areas that need to be corrected, deleted, added, or whatever, I think it would be appropriate. I concur with Mr. Flory, this is a big step for the town of Rutland. The only unfortunate thing about this whole matter is that most people have never even picked one of these up and looked at it. And if the town was as wealthy as a lot of people make us think we are, I think we should mail one to every home in town. I think our meetings would be much larger attended than what they are. People find out exactly what kind of an impact this will have on their lives and property. Because if they think Act 250 was tough, this will make Act 250 look like a birthday party. So, you know, if I had the time and the resources, I'd hand deliver each one of these to each resident of the town. I think when they read it, they begin to understand the changes, not all bad, not all good, that may be coming their way. And the unfortunate part about it is that most of them won't even realize what's happened until it's after it's happened. So I would suggest that a couple of the board members who seem to be quite involved in it, a couple members of the Planning Commission, if they wish, to get together and try to work out a reasonable document to the satisfaction of all parties. And I think that's the only way zoning's ever going to have any success at all in the town. Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, well, just in response to that, I think tonight's a perfectly appropriate time to go line by line on the document that's in front of us for our consideration, and I take exception to your remarks that you don't think it is an appropriate time.
Only to the fact, John, that no one was prepared to do that tonight.
I'm prepared to do it. I mean,
Well,
I
there
can't
are
answer for
obviously
the rest of you.
other members here that aren't prepared. I mean, we don't have documents with us, and, you know, that is something you would probably do in a workshop situation, right?
Well, I mean, if you're willing to restrict your comments to the members of the board that aren't prepared, then I'll withdraw my comment.
No, you know, and I'm not being critical of it. I'm just saying that there are a number of board members here, and that was not the purpose of the agenda, was to sit here and have a workshop on the documents. I thought that after the hearing, we would make a decision if we were going to proceed with one or the other or neither. And as of right now, we're back to square one again. Where do we go from here?
Now I won't be able to look at the ad hoc committee right in the face, but I'd like to make a motion that we reject the 1995 ad hoc committee revised zoning document.
Okay, have a second to that? And a second. Discussion on that document.
Well, I thought at the public hearing that there was at least support for that much alone.
Reason, John, is a couple of things came up that I even found I didn't like. There should, not a lot, there should even been changes there. This is what I'm getting at. I mean, you know, I wouldn't want to sit here tonight. I know where there'd be some effects already in place if I voted that revised document in tonight. That's what I'm telling you. And because I know that it wouldn't be fair to those involved, I can't really do it. That's why I think that we've done nothing seriously wrong. Everybody's done a lot of work. It's been more exposed. It's been more exposed than ever. And I think second time around could be great. But I just don't feel it's the way, and I'm sure we all want to do what's best. That's why I said I don't want anybody to think that what I did is because I wanted to hurt anybody. That's the last thing I want to do. It's just that because, and I just voted, I worked with these people and I just voted that down. And I told you why, because I did just in the last few days. When you see, and that's because things came up. You know what I mean, with the discussions on one against the other, which brought those to my attention, which I think is great. That's why I think second time around would be pretty well reviewed.
Kip, you worked on it.
Right.
Yeah. He was on his job.
Yeah.
I think it should be.
There's no three things that need to be changed.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Is the motion on the floor to disapprove both documents or just the ad hoc?
No, we've already done the 1994
No, you didn't.
Planning Commission.
No, you didn't.
No.
The vote was to approve it with changes, as I understand. Wasn't it, Mr. President?
I think the chair should probably answer that.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Also, we need a motion. But you can't make the
I'll read
motion
what I have
together,
here, I might
right?
have to go
You
to
gotta
the
be
tape
separate.
myself, or JP's.
I believe you can make it together.
Was to approve the other one with changes, and that failed, but that didn't
You
reject
move
the
to
whole
adopt the
document.
94 plan. With changes decided together.
Can you put both together?
Too late now.
Okay, okay, then we have to vote on this one and then on the first one, right? This motion was for the 95 one. Then we'll have to make a motion
The
to.
motion that we had then was against the...
Yeah, when it was voted no, it went down, didn't it? No? Okay, we'll make a motion to reject if we have to, okay.
With the 94 with changes.
With changes.
I can't support the 94.
So we're gonna reject it like it is, Kim. I mean, I shouldn't say we're gonna, but we have to make a motion specifically on that to reject it as it is. Yeah, okay, but
Your
right now,
motion
the
is-
95 is on the floor.
Okay. And we have a motion by you,
To reject the 95.
Second.
I think Joe wrote what it
second
was.
by Kip.
That's right.
Do we have any more discussion on that motion?
Call
Madam
for
Chair,
the
call the question. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. No, wait a minute. To reject, yes, aye, I'm sorry. This is getting too many going here. Aye, right.
Aye.
We don't want any mistakes.
4 ayes, opposed? None. And I would support that too. Okay. The 95 is turned on.
Okay, now for clarification, I'd like to make a motion to reject the 1994 Planning Commission zoning document.
Okay? A motion and a second. Discussion on that one.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Once again, it's 4 to nothing, and I would support that as well. Yeah.
Just, the board has the big task in front of it, and we got that out of the way, but if I might be allowed to clarify 2 or 3 things that I've been reading in the paper. And first of all, as one member of this quote ad hoc, and I don't know what ad hoc means in terms of this particular document, because to my way of thinking, it wasn't an ad hoc committee, it was an open-ended committee. As one member, I'd like to thank the board for their patience with both the Planning Commission and us in reviewing the document, and for the opportunity to do it. But I'd also like to clarify something for the general public who's been, I think, misled in press accounts, and I don't know why, but I'll clarify it, and you, Mr. Chairman, can correct me if I'm wrong. The reason this committee performed over a year's worth of work on zoning in particular, and by the committee's choice, used the document presented by the Planning Commission by vote, was at the request of this Board of Selectmen in order to facilitate
in terms of time to make recommendations. And with the inclusion of 2 members of this Board of Selectmen, Mr. Hathaway having participated in over half of the meetings before his resignation, and Mr. Flory as well, at, to my knowledge, all of the meetings, except maybe one. And the reason being that this board has certainly plenty enough work to do, and as you pointed out tonight, and going line by line in a workshop session with the plate that you have in front of you and usually have in front of you all year long, was a facilitating device for a committee of fairly well-informed citizens, not Johnny-come-latelys to the governmental process, nor to the process and the workings in this town, to sit and review the document, to make recommendations to your board as to changes, and if requested, give you rationale for the changes that were recommended. This committee did that. Now, I don't know if that means ad hoc, but I certainly wouldn't have put over a year's worth of my time into this had it not been by request. I wouldn't have done this on my own. I wouldn't have taken it on my own to do that, because as your planning commissioners have aptly pointed out, everyone, including us, had opportunity to go to the meetings and so forth. They did their work to the best of their ability as into their philosophy of governing the town with a zoning document. The committee that you asked to review this document did it with another philosophy in mind. That philosophy being that at this point, the least amount of government that works would be better for Rutland Town than an encumbering bureaucracy of 85 plus pages. Now, we did our job, and if requested to do it, I'm sure that all the members that I know would do it again. But I resent the implication that we were off on our own, doing our own work for our own reasons to create a separate document. It is not a separate document. It is what we felt was the best blend of the framework that the Planning Commission came up with, and not on their own, I might add. Mr. Blucher had a lot to do with the framework of that document. The framework of that and the intention of putting good governance to land use planning in the town without creating an overabundance of bureaucracy. And as John pointed out, there's certainly probably mistakes in ours. I could go with a litany of the mistakes that we found in coming up with our document, the mistakes that we found in the Planning Commission document. Not just typographical, I'm talking about non sequitur type mistakes, things that didn't fit, things that didn't work, things that were out of place, things that were redundant. But that wasn't the purpose of that. We tried to correct it. And the suggestions that John Paul made this evening were excellent ones, but they only begin to scratch the surface in terms of redundancy and so forth. On floodplain regulations alone, it's been a long-standing, since the federal floodplain regulations first came out, it's been a long-standing thought in this town, it's been reiterated at these meetings, that the floodplain regulations, federal, would apply in any case, and therefore did not have to become a part and parcel of the zoning document. And for some reason that we hadn't been able to determine, they managed to get in there. Not only did they manage to get in there, but the deletions that John Paul made only scratch the surface. There's a lot more references in this document to those floodplain regulations, which don't need to be in there if they're incorporated in whole as the federal regulations. The reason they weren't is there's some extensions of those federal regulations in here, which we determined was more of this creeping bureaucracy. And I thank you for your patience. My last and parting comment is, in this day and age, when the hue and cry and the scream from California to Maine is less bureaucracy, less government intrusion, less interference in our everyday lives, and less encroachment on our personal liberties, For us to be saying that here in the state, and there's a large number in the state that say that, and then to be turning around with the hypocritical approach of saying that Act 250 is encumbering us, and we're anti-business, and we're this and that in the state, and then turn around and create a document like this for the town of Rutland, to me is a severe slap in the face to individual liberty. If we need less of that, we do need zoning to control the land use development in the town. But the 1,800 T's and I's that have to be dotted and crossed with site plan visits and 30 days this and 19 copies of this and engineers planning additions to your bedroom is not, in our opinion, the way to go in the town of Rutland. And there has to be, and I'm sure you'll find it, and I hope you find a way, and I hope your suggestion is taken, a way to merge the essence of these two documents without forgetting that there's a philosophy here. I don't disagree with John Paul that we need something and that it would be pragmatic. After the years that we've been planning, it certainly would be pragmatic to take a document which John Paul, as a lawyer, knows is defensible. That's good. But that's not a reason for adopting a whole philosophy in a town, is just because it's defensible. There would be other documents shorter than this and less cumbersome than this that would also be defensible. And I urge you to find one.
Anyone else? Dave?
Yeah, I would like to once again urge the Planning Commission, based on today's article, it appears that they are not in an apparent cooperative frame of mind, and I would ask them to reconsider their attitude. At this point, I think their attitude is unseemly for public officials. It is not, as Karen said, a slap in the face to have a bylaw changed by a board of selectmen. It's a routine process, and citizens routinely in other towns come forward and offer amendments, and they are received by planning commissions. I think the Planning Commission's attitude flies in the face of citizen participation. I think they need a good lesson on civics, that the most important unit of government is not a public official, it's not a selectman or a planning commission member, it's a citizen. And I think they may have lost sight of that fact. And it is their responsibility under the statute, and it's in there if they look, to solicit citizen input. And to be so openly insulting to a citizen committee in the paper as they were today, I think it's a disgrace for Rutland Town. And I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, we stood on our head to work with this group. I appeared at the Planning Commission 3 times, offering them to come to our meetings. We'd come to their meetings for dialogue. And they made it very plain in the paper today. They don't intend to talk, at least 5 of them here. And I would just like to say that I hope they re-examine this attitude. If they are going to lead Rutland Town in terms of planning, there needs to be a dialogue between all the parties. And that's really the basic point I have. I think if they produced a better document, one that made common sense, wasn't riddled with mistakes, and fit Rutland Town, it would have been passed easily by this Board of Selectmen. But that is the process. The Planning Commission submits a proposal. This isn't a study, Karen. This is a proposal.
I'm fully aware of that, David.
And you're dead wrong to think that it is any way disrespectful for a Board of Selectmen to change their planning.
These are the people that we're asking to enforce it, the Planning Commission. How can they enforce a document that they don't believe in and that is so vague on a lot of issues that you would not be able to defend it?
Well, you're wrong. You're wrong about that.
How could you regulate it if it's so vague that I come in and I argue the point and there is nothing in there that's spelled out? I'm going to argue it, and there is no defense to that.
Yeah, it just the Planning Commission doesn't enforce zoning, Karen. It's a zoning administrator and zoning board of adjustment.
I understand that, but they're overseeing that.
No, they aren't. They prepare the plan. They are not involved in zoning. What they present to you was a proposal.
I understand.
Now, at some point, I know citizens may be viewed as peasants, uneducated. They said we're uneducated, and so on. A gypsy committee behind the barn. But it's still, we presented a proposal working with selectmen, and those should be viewed and weighed by the selectmen. The Board of Selectmen is the judge in this case, or the jury. And for the members of the Planning Commission saying they want to take their ball and go home is similar to an attorney in court saying he no longer wants to present a case. And it's like the
But I
DA
think
leaving.
everybody had the opportunity, the public had the opportunity to go and speak at their hearings, their public hearings, and they took comments.
And they made no
Suggestions.
changes following the second hearing. There was a lot of comments made, a lot of issues raised, mistakes were raised, and they took votes at their meeting to take a very entrenched approach and drop it in the selectmen's hands. And the reason we don't have zoning tonight is not the selectmen's, on the selectmen's account, it's because of the Planning Commission's attitude. It's fair to work with the citizens. And if anyone's responsible for zoning not being adopted tonight is the Town of Rutland Planning Commission by their entrenched attitude. And I just feel it's time that somebody spoke out to it. I can give you public records at least 7 times when we tried to work in a cooperative fashion with these people, and they've ignored us. And now the result of that is no zoning for Rutland Town at this point in time. But I'd ask them to re-examine their attitude and come back to the bargaining table, and maybe some point in time, we can get a zoning that fits Rutland Town.
I think, if I could, the reason there was an ad hoc committee in the first place was the Board of Selectmen's dissatisfaction with a lot of what came forth in the Planning Commission's original draft. And we did have 2 members who volunteered, 2 very competent, long-standing members with family history in this town that goes back to Lord only knows how long, who certainly are credible, were elected to their position, not even appointed but elected, and were put down publicly, which was certainly not, I find, totally unacceptable. But regardless of that, it was a committee formed by the Board of Selectmen with 2 members of the board on it to review the document, and that's why we have the amended version, or the 95 version, that we voted down tonight.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I guess I was confused before, and I'm very confused now. The defense I heard of the ad hoc committee all through the process, when we questioned the open meeting law, the minutes that weren't kept, the documents that weren't available, now I'm hearing tonight that the selectmen did appoint this group, did appoint 2 members to it, and did in fact make them a part of town government. So I'm back to asking, for whatever your criticisms of the Planning Commission, where were the minutes? Where was the open meeting law adherence? It certainly sounds to me like that group, if you're saying that you turn the process over to them for review, that group is subject to the open meeting law.
No, I think what Rod said was that 2 selectmen
I've heard Rod say
volunteered.
it several times. I've also heard people make the defense that this group was, as far as I can tell, the ad was put in the paper, paid for by the town. These documents were printed at town expense. Joe Zingali put everything together at town expense. I think you folks played fast and loose with the open meeting law, and I think that's really
Well, that's quite contrary,
not,
Mary. There was no secret
not a
meetings
good
held.
idea.
Charlie sat here every week, David brought forward the time
A
and the
report
place,
back to the
a
selectmen,
time
that's what
and a
I'm
place of where
saying.
these meetings were going to be held. Everyone had full knowledge. They were alternate to our regular
Did you
selectmen
have
meeting
minutes
nights.
and did you have votes?
There weren't only ads, but there were several little editorials in the paper. Almost everyone we had a little thing saying the ad hoc committee will be there.
Big difference is Mr. Dickinson had the opportunity to go through our minutes and know how each and every one of us on the Planning Commission voted. He's referenced that tonight. Where were the minutes from the ad hoc committee? Where was the citizens' chance in town to go and look at their minutes? And you talk about rationale. I saw no rationale for the changes that we presented. The only comparison you folks saw was the one I presented because I sat down over the holiday weekend and put it together. Where was the rationale? Was this something conveyed to you folks that the citizens didn't have a handle on? If you truly want an open process, then I think you're going to have to adhere to the open meeting law. And I think that if there is rationale, we should have heard about it, and hopefully directly from the selectmen rather than from some other group who on one hand is and on one hand isn't
Well, because I'm
representative.
a selectman, I have to say that each meeting was posted. Each meeting was advertised. Several meetings. Charlie Brothers sat here when we were, and when we were telling when the next one was going to be. There was at least 2 selectmen meetings that Dave asked him if he'd like to participate, and he says no, they didn't want to participate at all. Mary, this was as open as could be. As far as your meetings, this wasn't that type of a public hearing. There was no discussions other than the fact that you came in, you sat down, you started turning page for page, reading the page and making the changes. And at the end of each meeting, I believe did you hand in what was done each time or about each time?
Yeah,
That's document enough of anything that was done. I don't want to get in the hassle of it, but I just like to call things right and think we're right.
Of this, and the reason there were no recorded votes, and Mary's still wrong, even if we look at it in a technical sense. We operated as if we were under the open meeting law, Mary. And since there were no votes taken, there was technically no reason to keep the minutes. If you read the open meeting law, you'll find that technically that's the only thing that has to be in there is a record of the votes and the results of the votes. But we weren't technically under the open meeting law because we weren't a public body. And if you read that definition, you'll find out we weren't a public body. But we operated as if we were a public body. But there was no votes taken. It was a consensus process, so there were no votes to record in minutes. But we had a work product, and I'm sure Joe will verify this. He was given that work product, told to keep it in an open file, and if any resident in Rutland Town or any member of the public wanted to view our work in progress or know anything about the committee's activities, to consult with Joe. So there was, I would say, a running record, and that's what constituted our minutes.
I saw the document once. I asked to see it.
I believe I gave you a phone call, Mary, and made you...
It was a marked-up version of our document. There were no minutes. There was no rationale for why the changes were made. There were just scratch-outs. That's what there was. If a citizen of this town wanted to find out what the Planning Commission did, we were on record. If a citizen of this town wanted to know why the ad hoc group did what they did, there was no way of telling other than for them to come into a meeting if they chose to do so and question at length members. And citizens of this town don't always choose, as people here know, to participate in that way.
How many times, Mary, during the course of the ad hoc committee's activities did you come in and attempt to body minutes and review the document?
I went in and looked the one time I looked in Joe's, but now, I mean, it's a good thing I didn't come in because there weren't minutes.
Maybe
It's been said.
Maybe the confusion about this, Mr. Chairman, goes back to the original misconceptions that a lot of people, and I think including the Planning Commission, had as to what this committee's job was. Our job was to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. The document that you have in front of you that you just rejected, which you still have, you can use it however you want, is our recommendations to you as changes to be made to the original zoning document, because basically the framework is there. And our attitude was, first of all, we didn't have any budget for minutes. It would have taken us 3 years if we had to write everything down. We're basically just going through the document. So it would have been a redundant effort to say, well, so-and-so suggested that this be deleted. The deletions are there. Our attitude was that at the end of this process, and I had a misconception, it didn't go the way I thought it would go, that at the end of this process, the Board of Selectmen would take our document, which was recommendations to you as to changes, and if you had any questions of us as the committee you asked to do the work as to, well, why did you do this? How come this is out? Why does this go over here? That we would have a work session and explain it to you, rather than spending tons of money developing some lengthy verbal document to append to that. Clarifications are easy, as John Paul said when he made his motion to delete the sections on the floodplain. Those are easily explained, as being part of the federal floodplain regulations, which would be sufficient for the town and didn't need to be in here. He had another one on pools. There were a quadzillion of them in there that we made deletions to, for obvious logical reasons. And if the board didn't know or had a question as to, well, I don't know why they made that change, or why do you think they made that change, we would have a work session with you to let you know. And we'll, I'm sure, be willing to do that. Or John, as a member of the new committee, if he is, can certainly do it. He was at the meetings. There was a rationale,
Mr. Chairman?
but it didn't go that way.
I think one of the good things that we're hearing tonight is that seems to be unanimous consent, despite the philosophical differences between no regulation and regulation, and I don't know how we bridge those with technical terms of a zoning document, but there seems to be unanimous consent that we need some sort of zoning document, and I hope that we could all move forward in a positive fashion to develop something that's acceptable to all the parties involved.
Getting back to my suggestion, we have two documents that has been both been voted down by the board. I think I made a suggestion in some of the dialogue that I was voting off on, of a couple selectmen working with a couple people from the planning commission to try to find common ground in a workable document that everybody can support. And I think it's doable. I don't think we can do it with mass numbers of people, because that has a tendency to turn into a free-for-all sometimes. But at least get a draft to put before the public, have some hearings and whatever. And a lot of concerns have been brought out, a lot of comments at public hearings about what's right, what's wrong about both documents, to try to find something that's digestible for everybody. I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we've had enough to swear our minds tonight. I think we better go to the next meeting and discuss this. But you're right, that's definitely what's got to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Consensus for people to all work together, and I agree with John too, that I don't hear anybody out there screaming, we don't want any zoning at all. I don't hear anybody screaming that. Well, there might be at the end, but I mean, at this point, it shows that there can be some working partners to get something done.
I just don't think
if at the end they want no zoning, then there won't be any, but I mean, at least you get the document together.
I would not feel
satisfactory to those who do want it.
I would not feel satisfied with just shelving both copies till who knows when. I just think we ought to pursue this thing and try to come up with something within a reasonable amount of time. And, you know, I think we can please just about everybody. Do you want to stick with it?
I'll stick with it, sure.
What do you?
Sure.
Well, you won't know which John they're called.
Pair of Johns, both Italian?
Yeah. Yeah, but I got the upper hand, he's only half.
Yeah, but that happens, Sicilian.
I'd like to ask the planning commission if they could do the same, if they'd be willing to do the same. You don't have to give us an answer right now.
We can't, we have a meeting coming up and we don't have a phone call.
Okay.
And it's not warned tonight either.
Okay. And I would ask, at your earliest convenience, if you could bring that up and see if you'd be willing to do that as well. Okay. I think having said that, we can move on to anything else that might have to come up before the next meeting.
Can anyone else speak or just ad hoc?
To what degree?
Just a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm not trying to cut off.
Oh.
No.
Okay. In my 20 years of town clerk, I've tried to stay out of as much discussion as possible. But tonight, two things have come up. And first one is Don was saying that he worked, he mentioned it twice, well over a year. I did a little research before the public hearing last week. In my recollection, around January 25th, all this came together that there would be an ad hoc committee. So that gives you not even 9 months, and the document that was finalized had to be at least 1 month ago, or possibly 2. So you're down to 7 months of work of going through what the planning commission took 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The other thing is, John, you mentioned that we had the protection of the town plan. But everyone in the area of Center Rutland knows that an individual sold his car dealership in West Rutland and lived on Simons Avenue and brought all his cars up and continued a car dealership with about 5 cars on one side of the house, 5 cars on the other, and about 5 cars in front.
What you don't understand, Dick, is that even while he had the garage in West Rutland, he had that there. That thing was grandfathered in for 20 years. He was doing those
No,
things.
when he moved out,
Yeah, well, he just brought the rest of them, but he'd had them there right along, Dick. Well, ask the neighbors.
But
That
when
was
you
grandfathered
drive,
in deal,
when
had
you
nothing to
drive
do
by, when
If
you
the
drive,
town plan had the town plan was in effect, when he moved the garage, he wouldn't have been able to do that probably. But he had them cars parked there for, nobody knows more than me. I've answered complaints there for 20 years, so I know it's gotta be. He also had them in both places, so to say. And then when he sold his garage, he brought what was left there.
well,
which
right
added
now,
to
he
the
doesn't
insult.
have to mow his lawn because
He-
there's cars
All
everywhere
right,
on the
because
lawn.
he'd been there so long. No matter what we do here tonight, isn't gonna protect that. You can't, you
That's
can't.
the situation without
Yeah.
zoning that you run into.
But, that's right, but I mean, that was a grandfather deal, there's nothing, nobody can control that.
Let me tell you something, Dick, I take you to towns with zoning if that happens.
What's that? Let me, yeah.
So, it's, you know, everything doesn't turn out the way it's originally intended, but you do the best you can. Any other discussion about anything? That's the last item on the agenda this evening. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Second. All those in favor?